So welcome. You have just signed up for our Teens Yoga for Teens teacher training program. And I am delighted to have you on board. So just a kind of little bit of an orientation so you kind of have an idea of where you are. If you're listening to me, you are in a Trackville, so you've got that far. So you've got all your logins and all that kind of stuff sorted out. In this place, you're going to find an awful lot of the sample classes, some sample exercises that you can use with the teens, and a lot of kind of information really about teenage development and about the kind of struggles, challenges, excitements that happen for teens, be it physically, mentally and emotionally. So as with all of the training here in Aruna, what we want you to do is to leave with lots and lots of skills, lots and lots of confidence and lots of ability to bring yoga to this whole new group of people, or to bring movement to the whole group of people. Just to be aware that this is a supplementary training, so in of itself, it is not a yoga teacher training. It is how to take the yoga that you already know how to teach and bring it to teens. On the other hand, if you're not a yoga teacher, then it is how to bring this aspect of it and bring movement, bring yoga, bring meditation to whatever it is that you're currently doing, be it that you're a secondary school teacher, be it that you work with teens in summer projects, in sports groups, in in therapy, whatever the medium that you're currently working with young people, that you can expand those skills and bring some of the phenomenal tools that we have in yoga to your modality. And thirdly, maybe you're just a parent or a teenager themselves, maybe that you want to get a broader understanding and just think a little bit differently, while obviously developing lots of skills that you can bring. So no matter what area it is that you work with or that you're hoping to work with young people, what we're looking to do here is to complement your existing qualification or your existing experience, to look at how you can expand the experience that you have, how to think about it differently, and how to add on new tools and techniques. But what's really kind of important from my point of view, from all of the training that I do, everywhere that I do, what I really want to do is have you curious. Because you can go onto the internet and you can look, do a Google search, yoga poses to do with teenagers, or, ChatGPT, can you give me plan a class, a yoga class that I can do with young people? But how are you discriminating as to whether that's appropriate, whether it's useful, and whether whether it's appropriate, whether it's safe, like I say, whether it's useful. So what we're looking to really do here is foundational blocks, so that you can look to see, does that fit with your philosophy? Does it fit with the science that you understand? Does it fit with how you want to work with young people? And hopefully then you can be much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you can become a connoisseur, that you critically thinking, you can look at at material and decide, take the bits that you want, that fit with you, that fit with what makes sense to you, and drop the rest, so that you're not, this is never a monkey see, monkey do. This isn't a book that you follow in the instructions on. This is really about being curious, about being in wonder, and about looking at things maybe a little bit differently. And so to that end, we will look at teen development from a few different sort of perspectives, just to sort of broaden the picture so that we can maybe fill it out a little bit. We'll also look at physical development, maybe from a few different perspectives than what you're used to. Thankfully, nowadays, we're becoming much more aware of how women were just considered little men, and how the research wasn't being done into women, into women's bodies, into hormones, into how it changes. Because a little hobby horse of mine, I won't give you pre-warning, but because women had cycles and had different stages of life, that they weren't, my mathematical science background, they weren't stable subjects, and you couldn't really compare like with like. So they interfered, women's natural cycles interfered with the studies. Now, thankfully, that is being addressed. And thankfully now we're no longer considering that the cycles that women go through to be just something that gets in the way of research. And we've started to recognize that that is an important thing to integrate into the research. So similarly for young people, when you're looking at all of the changes that happen with them in their hormonally speaking, that we can't just take research that applies to adults and just retrofit it back. That young people are developing, that there's a physical development, an emotional and a spiritual and mental development that are all happening. There's a lot of changes happening in this stage. So when we're looking at movement and at training and at movement, we have to be looking at movement that suits them and integrates into how we think about their movement, what their actual developmental stages are. And those developmental stages, like I say, it's yoga, which is the great thing about yoga, is that we deal with mind, body and spirit. So the whole shooting gallery. So 100% we'll look at the physicality of people growing spurts, what that does, how overtraining can impact them, but also the emotional and psychological development and how they can be different stages of that. And then we'd have meditation, we'll have pranayama, we'll have lots of other tools that you can learn that. And of course, finally, is being a young person in today's society. If you're listening to this, then you probably have survived being a young person. But depending on what age you are, what your experience of being a young person would have been very different. Obviously, teens didn't even exist, like, not during any of our ages. Teenagers obviously existed, but that whole concept of childhood and this concept of being a teenager, when people started working, going to college, and this whole change of perspective of youth, and also then obviously technology, of isolation, of family structures have all changed, particularly if you're working in Ireland or with, from an Irish perspective, family structures have changed a lot. And a lot of how do young people, how are they supported now? What are the new challenges that are there? And how can we use these tools, these phenomenal tools that we have to support them? So like I say, the idea is to really ask questions and to be in wonder. How we do this is exactly, again, how we do all of our training in Aruna, is that we look to support us learn as adults and as informed learners, and to use all of the best science around how we best learn. So there is video content where we try to put the new information, and a lot of that new information is based on current science, but it's also based on questions. What? Because if you think about, just to take food, for example, I think depending on, when you're watching this, butter is in or butter is out. At the minute, sugar is out, and then who knows, in 10 years' time, maybe sugar will not be as bad as it is today. And there's different trends that go through the research, and depending on what you're looking at depends on what you see. So some of the research that we're coming up with, particularly because a lot of this is new, a lot of this work around the physical development and the training of young people, etc., is all quite new. So some of it will become wrong. We will be wrong about some of it. And also, as new technology arises, we'll be able to learn more, see more, and do more. So how do we look both taking the current science, but also the really beautiful ancient past? How do we marry them together so that we can use all of these wonderful tools that yoga offers to support young people today? And obviously to support ourselves, supporting young people today. So that the sciencey bits are kind of on the videos. We also, for this particular course, will have a lot of tools that are also videos. We have sample classes that are on the videos. And then in the room, when we're in the room, that's where we really get to play, experience, and interact with the material. And so marrying it both all of the time, we're layering. Just because we do something in the sports class doesn't mean that it can't obviously be integrated into the language school class, or because it's a language school class doesn't mean that you won't bring it into a TY class or into a senior cycle class. All of these skills, it's really about giving you this beautiful big toolkit of tools, and behind that or under that is held by this wonder and framework, but that this framework is really based on wonder and reverence. Anyway, I hope you have as much fun doing the course as we had to developing it. This has taken us a long time. We've been a number of years developing this, and we have had great fun. So let's see if we can share this with you. Namaste.